Welcome back to the channel, Legendary Legacy, audiobook free daily, where you can enjoy the best books without spending a penny. Today, we will continue with the book, Thick Face, Black Heart by author Chin-Ning Chu. This is a book that teaches you how to apply the ancient wisdom of Asian philosophy and strategy to achieve success in business and life. We will proceed with Episode 7, The Mystery of Money. The episodes of the channel are published on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast and other podcast platforms. You can search for our channel by typing Legendary Legacy, audiobook free daily into the search bar. Please support our channel by liking, commenting and subscribing so that we have more motivation to produce more audiobook episodes with the best and latest quality. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Poverty is the greatest violence. Mahatma Gandhi. The wisdom of ancient China. Money is not the complete reward of a thick face, black heart practitioner, but to most, it is an important part of it. As a child, I learned to write each Chinese character by endlessly repeating the strokes that made up the character until they were so indelibly burned into my memory that my hand could create them automatically. I learned the common meaning of the characters but never gave a thought to the deeper meaning of the symbols themselves. Now, as an adult, I am often struck by the poetic and sublime wisdom of the ancient scholars who created words out of simple pictorial symbols representing the basic elements of their lives and the world around them. The Chinese character for money is composed of 3 symbols. One symbol means gold. The other 2 represent spears. The character for poverty is also composed of 3 symbols. The symbols depict a man standing at the bottom of a pit, bent as if under a great burden. These characters not only represent money and poverty, they also say something profound and beautiful about those 2 states. During my college years in Taiwan, a friend had convinced me to accompany her on a visit to the local fortune teller. After the old man had told her fortune, she asked him to tell mine. He handed me a brush and a slip of paper and asked me to write a word. I drew the character meaning sky or heaven. He took the paper and studied the character. Beside it he drew the character representing money, gold flanked by 2 spears. Study this character carefully, he insisted. It will reveal to you the mystery of money. Gold is tightly bound to struggle. As I remembered the old man's words, I wondered why there were 2 spears connected to the idea of money. It seemed to me that just one would have adequately conveyed the idea that a struggle was involved in acquiring wealth. I drew the character and studied it carefully as the old man had commanded me to do. Quite suddenly I understood the mystery of money and the dual nature of the struggle that surrounds it. The outward battle. The first spear symbolizes the outward struggle for survival. Although the earth contains abundance, its bounty is not equitably distributed among the billions of people who need to share in that abundance. From the beginning of civilization to the present day, one nation has battled another to acquire the other's resources. In the day-to-day struggle among individuals, the conflict is not often as direct and bloody as it can be among nations, but it is just as ruthless. In the modern industrialized world, the principal struggle for survival takes the form of the struggle for money. Money plays an important role when it comes to furthering one's success. A well-managed business offering a superior product or service may still be overwhelmed by a less efficient competitor who is better capitalized. A brilliant and able politician will not accomplish his agenda if he is outspent and defeated for election by an inferior opponent. A ballet, play, or movie of great artistic importance will never be produced if its creators cannot attract the necessary funding. Anyone who wishes to accomplish their goals or claim a share of the earth's abundance must first be prepared to do battle for money. Many times during my seminars, people will ask me, if I have no money, how can I start a business and make it? Nolan Bushnell founded the Atari video game company with only $500. 4 years later, he sold the company to Warner Communications for $28 million. However, with the $28 million he began numerous enterprises that cost him millions of dollars to support, and many of these ventures eventually went bankrupt. A worthwhile project can succeed through a grassroots effort when one is willing to fight for the opportunity to manifest their vision. It is never an easy path. If you don't have a worthy idea and superb execution, then money alone cannot save you. It can only prolong the time period before you lose it all. So the game of monetary success is not only about getting the money, it is also about have a great idea and being able to keep that money multiplying through worthy efforts. The battle within. The second spear represents the battle within. Before one can fight and win the outward battle, one must win the battle within. Poverty is more a state of mind than an external condition. Most people struggle for small rewards because they are shackled by an unarticulated belief that they are not the kind of people who are worth the finer things in life. It is essential to transform your state of mind within yourself. You are worthy of whatever material rewards you seek, so long as you acquire them honestly and honorably. Unclaimed gifts. It was told that a holy man, because of his great virtue, was taken by the angels to visit heaven. As the angels were escorting him through the heavenly mansion, they passed through a great hall piled high with gifts of every kind. The man asked his guides why all these gifts were here. They replied, "These are all the things people prayed for but quit their prayers right before they were to be delivered." Our divine Maker never stops us from possessing worthy gifts. It is we who lack faith in our worthiness to receive the gifts that prevents us from possessing them. Some just quit wanting them because they lose heart, convinced they will never get what they want. For others, the objects of their desire are transitory. One day they want a new coat, the next day a new car. When the weather turns cold they start wishing for a Hawaiian vacation. Their desires are little more than idle daydreams. If we are steadfast in our efforts to attain our worthy desires, they may come to us, but idle dreams seldom come true. A fair exchange of value. Money and wealth are obtained through interactions with others. You exchange your labor for money. In order to get a fair exchange value, it is necessary to convince the people with whom you do business that you can be of benefit to them. It is necessary for you to project a sense of your own worth. In order to do this you must first have a strong inner sense of your own worth. To have a sense of your own worth, you have to do something that is worthy of your own respect first. This includes hard work along with determination and perseverance. Concentrate your energy on the things that make you of worth to others, the competent and faithful performance of your duties, care in honoring your commitments, and bringing energy and creativity to your tasks. Too often we dissipate our energy in resenting the success of others and railing at fate for keeping us from acquiring the wealth we seek. This is the battle within. The fruits of poverty. Money may not buy happiness, but it certainly will buy a lot of convenience. Chinese proverb. Almost everyone thinks they want to be rich, but in reality, most of us are where we want to be financially. Obtaining prosperity is not about what you are willing to do to gain it, more importantly, it is about what you are willing to give up in exchange for it. This is an extremely important principle to remember. It is like the making of a superior athlete. The first thing the athlete has to confront is the question, what am I willing to give up to become a great athlete? Am I willing to give up the times that I spend with my friends? Am I willing to forego the parties and fun times that my friends enjoy? Am I willing to forego delicious, fattening food in exchange for a disciplined diet program? The list goes on. Ruby is an apartment manager with a meager income. In an attempt to improve her financial situation, she works part-time selling real estate, but her hard work has never provided her any meaningful financial rewards. As I watch Ruby, I realize that she is extremely attached to the fruits of her poverty. She is attached to the duties and the rewards of managing the apartment complex. By performing her job as apartment manager, Ruby satisfies her psychological needs. Ruby is the type of person that we commonly label as a power tripper. A few months after a tenant moves in, Ruby starts acting more like a boot camp sergeant than an apartment. Manager. She thrives on the power she holds over her tenants, especially when she is on the right side in the list of do's and don'ts of the apartment's regulations. Ruby thinks she wants to make more money through selling real estate, so she may give up her meager pay and long working hours as an apartment manager. But subconsciously, her spirit feeds on the satisfaction and power of policing others as she performs her present duties. She could not possibly be content to give it up in exchange for an occupation that would require her to cater to the needs of her paying clients, even though it would mean a significant improvement in her financial status. Ruby's mind sees no difference between the potential satisfaction that wealth can bring versus the satisfaction experienced by staying in poverty. As a matter of fact, Ruby is subconsciously so attached to this specific advantage of being poor that she has great doubt about the value of trading a proven pleasurable experience, power tripping over others, for the unknown experience of being rich. Ivan is a middle-aged businessman who has had numerous business ventures throughout his life. Unfortunately, he had a habit of taking his businesses to the top only to watch them crash to bankruptcy with time. After 20 years of these ups and downs, Ivan finally discovered the cause of his failures. Whenever he was on the top, he would live an extravagant lifestyle and at times, would even sink into decadence. Deep down, Ivan is a pure-hearted, down-to-earth man. Therefore his periods of decadent living would rub against his natural grain, the simple, harmonious lifestyle he truly felt comfort able with. This would eventually drive Ivan to unconsciously sabotage his own enterprises through a series of bad business judgments. When he finally realized the reason behind his downfalls, he was able to discipline himself and avoid repeating past patterns while thriving on the waves of success. Squeeze money too tight, it will slip out of your hands. Money is the element of life that inspires the greatest of emotions in individuals. It is tightly connected with the emotions of agony and ecstasy. When you have money, you never feel you have enough. If you have lost money, you wish you had appreciated it more when you did have it. June, a 43-year-old Australian lady, is currently studying English literature at a Los Angeles junior college. She was referred to my friend, Bob, as someone who could assist Bob in editing a series of short stories he had written. June had never before edited fiction stories, but 15 years ago, while she was in Australia, she had worked as a documentary film editor's assistant. She had a natural instinct for drama. During the past 15 years in the United States, June had come upon rough times. She often had to earn her living by performing tedious labor at minimum wage. She had grown extremely bitter about the world, and her attitude towards money and people was very negative. 6 months ago, she was fired from her used car sales job. She was unemployed once again. Although June did not have a track record that demonstrated her talent, Bob sensed her natural intuition. After meeting with June, Bob decided to give her a try. Bob agreed to pay June the sum of $3,000 for 3 short stories. After working with Bob and finishing one story, June started to think to herself that perhaps she was working too cheaply. She thought she could change her working arrangement from a project basis to an hourly basis to earn more money. She presented her case to Bob, arguing and crying how she was being exploited by Bob for her cheap labor. Bob allowed that if June would accurately keep track of her working time, he would pay her $25 an hour. June was delighted because she had never received such a large hourly sum for her work. June began working on the next story. She soon realized that after she eliminated her meal times, her 15 minutes per hour of cigarette breaks, and the time she spent visiting about her life during working hours, her actual working hours were few. She spent only 10 hours on the next story. This translated to approximately $250 per story. She realized she had just shot herself in the foot. Again she wanted to renegotiate with Bob. She cried to Bob that, by counting the hours, the love had gone out of their working space and that she wanted that love back. She wanted to go back to the original arrangement. Bob replied, the love has not gone out of me. I have always had within me. If the love has gone out of you, then it is up to you to get it back. To be more accurate, the whole thing to you was never about love. It was only about money. What happened here is because you wanted to get more money out of this situation. You squeezed the money too tight and it has slipped from your hands. Bob then sent her home. Accidental wealth. The battle within must be fought and won not only to establish in your own mind your right to material wealth, but to develop within yourself the ability and will to go out into the world and fight for it. Wealth is an uncertain thing. Everyday fortunes are made and lost. The person who has acquired wealth by successfully fighting the inward and outward battles is not so devastated by financial catastrophe as is the person who has acquired wealth by accident of birth or windfall. Misfortune may strip him of material wealth, but he still has the ability, will, and denke to acquire it again. My mother was born to great wealth. The only child of an only child, she inherited a huge estate that had not been dispersed over the generations to a number of heirs. Although she enjoyed all the comforts and privileges that wealth brings, she had been raised in a household of domestic discord. Her father had openly and lavishly supported a mistress and a second family. This was a cause of constant strife between my grandparents. When it came time for my mother to marry, she decided that the best way to avoid flagrant infidelity was to marry a man of modest means. She chose my father, a poor but worthy distant relative. She then settled down into what she thought would be a tranquil and genteel life. But this was not to be. After my parents were married, they moved to Tianjin. With my mother's monthly income from the land rental back in Manchuria plus my father's salary, they were able to live lavishly in the British-governed section of the town. In early 1948, while the communist forces led by Mao Zedong were steadily approaching Tianjin, my parents left their house to the care of our servants and moved into a newly purchased chateau in Shanghai's French territory. A year later, they were forced to leave all their wealth and flee to Taiwan. As we left our home in Shanghai, again my parents admonished the housekeepers to take good care of everything because we would return in a couple of months. 43 years later, my parents are still in Taiwan. For years they waited for external events to restore their affluence in the same sudden way it had disappeared. While fortunes were being made all around them in Taiwan's post-Vietnam War prosperity, my father was content to take a government position that paid a modest salary. Neither he nor my mother ever made a serious attempt to become wealthy through their own efforts. Great fortune had not done for my parents what they had expected it to do. Because neither of them had ever engaged in the inward and outward battles for wealth, they were unable to go out and restore their fortunes. On the other hand, if you are fortunate enough to inherit wealth and not have the misfortune to lose it, it can sometimes be a curse as well. In Circus of Ambition, John Taylor describes how old money families like the Rockefellers felt imprisoned by their wealth. By stripping them of the need to work, inherited wealth encouraged idleness and engendered feelings of worthlessness. Heirs to other great East Coast fortunes, such as the children of J. Seward Johnson of Johnson & Johnson, actually felt degraded by their money. Wealth, they came to believe, created a corrosive mistrust of others. Wealth and talent. The Chinese character for wealth, the accumulation of money and other assets, is composed of two symbols. One is a seashell, the medium of exchange in very ancient times, the other is the symbol for the unique ability or talent that each of us possesses. The literal meaning of the symbol is brilliance. The path to wealth is not to chase money for its own sake, but to understand and develop your own intrinsic talents and inclinations. You must seek a livelihood that allows you to do what you were intended to do and one that brings you joy. If you do, the money will take care of itself. Too often we select a job because it pays well or offers security. But no matter how well a job pays initially or how secure it makes you feel, it will turn out to be a dead end unless it is in line with your own particular talents. It will eventually rob you of your enthusiasm and creative brilliance. At best, you will become mediocre and your rewards will likewise be mediocre. Because each of us possesses a spark of individual brilliance, every one of us is capable of accomplishing something that cannot be accomplished by anyone else in our own unique way. Striving to discover our niche in this vast human market is part of our conquest of life. In most cases, life does not play hide and seek, rather, we are blind. Our unique abilities often display themselves in many situations in the course of our lives. Because we are so focused on making a living, we do not see anything else. In this case, for our own good, sometimes life will pull the rug from under us, so we are compelled to look around and discover new possibilities. Maybe, you rarely give a beggar money because you want to reward him for his skill in begging. As spiritual beings, we often turn to our Maker to fulfill our desires magically. We do this by begging to God in our prayers. Actually, our prayers often sound more like shopping lists than devoted worship. Sometimes they read like a contract of performance: if you do this, then I will do that. If our Maker did indeed grant every demand, then he would be more inclined to respond to your wishes if you approached him not as a beggar but rather as his child, knowing that because he created you in his own image. What he has, you also have. As a child of the divine who is made in his image and possesses all of his attributes, it is demeaning for you to beg for the fulfillment of your desires. As the child of God, you embody the full splendor of his finest attributes, and every worthy desire can be fulfilled through your God-given abilities. You are able to perform actions coupling wisdom with discrimination and undying determination to persist until you obtain all your heart's desires. The more you explore your ability to bring forth your God-given attributes in attempting to fulfill your worldly needs, the more you will be able to sense his presence in your daily endeavors. The divine image is no longer a painting of an old man with a white beard appearing in the sky among the clouds. His image is an ever-present, tangible force that reveals itself through your noble attributes. Adapt the divine touch in our work. What makes a great artist great is his ability to recreate his maker's creativity in his work. A good lawyer taps into his maker's wisdom in delivering a convincing defense. In the same way, a good business manager copies, on a smaller scale, the maker's ability to manage the vast universe. No matter what occupation you are in, the manifestation of your excellence is in direct proportion to the degree you are able to bring forth the hidden divine qualities from within and apply these qualities to your daily tasks. During an interview, Luciano Pavarotti, the most renowned tenor of our time, identified the practice of yoga as the single most important factor contributing to his singing excellence. The word yoga, in Sanskrit, means union. Pavarotti spoke of the union of the small individual entity with the universal entity and how this affects him as a singer. The more you are able to manifest the Maker's qualities, the easier it will be for you in your quest of self-fulfillment, and your pursuit of rightful monetary rewards in your professional life. This is particularly visible among the creative occupations, perhaps because the artist is able to see the result of his work as a completed whole, whereas the businessman's work is an ongoing process. I have noticed that the difference between a great artist and a competent artist is not in their technical ability, but lies rather in the expression of their soul. You see in the work of great artists the manifestation of that divine force, just as if they were touched by God himself. A great dancer such as Baryshnikov transcends human limitations and brings us into the realm of the celestial world. The voices of Luciano Pavarotti and Joan Sutherland touch our hearts with overwhelming love and joy. The great artist Vincent van Gogh painted works that not only copied nature, but interpreted and glorified its mysteries. His paintings are more than just paintings. They are bridges connecting the human world to the world of the divine, and we are willing to pay millions to possess his masterpieces. Operate your life as if you have arrived. As you master your skill, this alone does not necessarily guarantee the rewards that come with success. Pavarotti is a wealthy man. Van Gogh made strangers who possessed his paintings wealthy but never enjoyed a decent living himself. The ability to bring forth the divine touch in your work alone does not guarantee financial reward. There is another aspect to this mysterious puzzle. You need to perceive yourself as being successful and then operate your life as if you are. It is essential to uproot from your consciousness thoughts that you somehow are lacking and are unworthy. Operate from abundance and self-importance. To some thick-face, black heart practitioners this comes naturally, to others we have to work consciously at it. When Grace Kelly first appeared in Hollywood she was a nobody, but she carried herself naturally, as if she already were a great star. When she actually was a great star, she looked and acted more like a princess than a movie star. Before you can garner the external rewards, you first must inwardly experience that they already belong to you. In short, your inner reality will take the form of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your actions will be unforced and much more effective because they are motivated from within, not because you are mechanically following a formula. Outer success will follow the actions and attitudes you manifest due to your experience of success as an inner reality. Transforming your attitude. The famous book Think and Grow Rich teaches us how we can think ourselves to riches. Throughout the years I have carefully observed how people obtained wealth. It is not thinking, reading, or listening that transfers us from poverty to wealth. Rather, it is a switch of attitude from the center of our being. You can think all you want, you can affirm all you want, you can understand all you can possibly understand, but it will not necessarily change you or your circumstances. These are necessary steps, however, your circumstances will not change until your knowledge and your understanding take on a living form from within. Because you have transformed, suddenly everything becomes possible. This transformation has no fixed formula. It results from your willingness to do battle within, and your unceasing courage to cultivate your inner strength to overcome your liabilities. Through this self-cultivation, you will eventually produce the magical fruit that will transform your attitudes in every aspect of your life. A transformation. In the mid-1970s, after a heartbreaking divorce, I decided to try my wings in the world of money-making. After looking around, I saw that the Southern California real estate market was booming and most of the realtors were driving prestigious cars. They seemed to have more than enough money. I too got my license and began to work in the world of real estate. I was able to support myself in a small degree of comfort, but nothing impressive. During this time, I began to read many wonderful books in an attempt to transform my relationship with money. Besides reading about it, I practiced daily and lived the messages I read. Later, I met a dynamic lady, Judy. I teamed up with Judy. We worked diligently for 1 month. We did everything we were supposed to do, but nothing happened. We didn't make any money. One morning we met as usual, but didn't have our normal enthusiasm. We were like two deflated balloons. That morning we were scheduled to see all the newly available properties. We felt too depressed to see anything, so we decided we would stop by an old Spanish church and just sit. The church was completely empty except for the two of us. Judy took a seat on the right side of the church and I took a seat on the left. The air was calm. The church walls echoed silently with the prayers offered over the past 100 years. I looked up at the altar and gazed at the limp Christ hanging from the cross. Sadness and love leaped out of my heart to him. I began my prayer in the form of a silent conversation with the Christ on the cross. Since I was 9 years old, I have loved you so. I was willing to do anything to be your champion. Do you remember that I used to lie in front of my family worship altar, and pray for stigmata like Saint Francis of Assisi? As I grew older, I realized you tested your followers in the trial of life rather than the dramatic miracles of stigmata. I was afraid I would not pass your test of life. Stigmata seems so much easier and more glorified than silently enduring the tests of living. I remembered what you had done to Job in the Old Testament. You removed all of his wealth, then his health, then his basic human dignity. Only when he demonstrated his unshakable devotion did you restore everything to him tenfold. I am afraid of such a test. My flesh is weak. Deep down, I am always afraid to surrender myself. If I really surrender myself to you, you will turn me into a homeless bag lady since I have no friends or relatives around. You will turn my life into a mess, just as you did Job's. A gentle, clear voice from the depth of my being replied, "What was right for Job is not right for you." Job wanted the test for his own satisfaction. He wished to prove his love of me to himself. It was not I who needed the proof. There is no need for you to be destitute for my sake. I assure you I will be with you always. You are my very own. My blessing goes with you everywhere. You shall have no lack. I wept uncontrollably for over half an hour. They were tears of relief and gratitude. The burden I had carried all my life dissolved in an instant, it disappeared like melting ice. At this time, I heard the sweet voices of the school students singing, "America the Beautiful," echoing through the side door behind the altar. I thought to myself, it is not by accident that on the back of the American dollar bill is printed, "In God we trust." Whoever designed the dollar bill understood that the foundation of our money system was God's grace, therefore, in God we trust. Our founding fathers trusted God as the supporter and sustainer of our monetary system, yet I had so little faith. I wept even harder. As I walked out of the church, Judy met me at the front door. Through her tearful eyes, I knew she had just had a similar experience. We looked at each other, and simultaneously we spoke out, "Let's go buy a house." We went to see the new houses on the market. We bought 2 houses within 2 hours. I had no idea how I was going to pay for them. I didn't even have my share of the down payment. Judy and I were in an extraordinary state, though. We experienced no lack, only abundance. In that state of mind anything is possible. I told her I only had a few $1,000s in my bank account. I said it without guilt or apology. Judy said, "I will loan you the money." Judy's husband had just been laid off a month earlier by Rockwell International, and was temporarily out of a job. Rockwell gave him some stocks as compensation for his 15 years of service. Judy sold the stocks, loaned me the down payment, and I became the proud, 50%, owner of 2 lovely homes in the prestigious neighborhoods of Studio City and Sherman Oaks in Southern California. We had a tie-in of our attitudes about money. Nothing had to make sense anymore. It was illogical for Judy to loan me the money and for me to own half the house. Furthermore, she had no idea how I was going to pay her back, and neither did I. It was even more illogical for her to sell her only financial security while her husband was out of work. Engineering jobs were scarce, there were layoffs everywhere. But, as your attitude changes, your relationship to your reality changes also. After that day, everything we touched turned to gold. We performed our work with diligence and delight. Most of all, I knew I was a winner, and I knew I would never have to be fearful again of becoming a bag lady. A few months later, besides being able to pay Judy back the money she had loaned me, I acquired 3 more properties, plus a beautiful home with a double lot, swimming pool, complete with a full guest house. I moved in and furnished the place with everything new. My inner change of attitude earmarked the beginning of a new life for myself. The indifferent attitude towards money. Whether you have plenty of money or a little, remember, money is not part of who you are. You didn't bring it with you at birth, nor will you take it with you at death. Enjoy your money. Have money work for you and make it contribute to your life. See money for what it is, but no more. Don't let money take over your whole life, because money is fickle. Keep an indifferent attitude towards it. Fine-tune your understanding of universal timing. For most of us, whether our desires are tangible or intangible objects, noble or ignoble pursuits, one thing is certain: we want to obtain them immediately. If our desires are not granted in a timely manner, anger, tension, and desperation will arise, and finally we will lose all heart and accept defeat. We are like young infants who demand our milk bottles with great urgency. If the bottles are kept from our mouths for a mere moment, we will wail in protest. In order to keep harmony, the mother must acquiesce to the baby's whims and adjust her needs to fit the infant's timing. Unlike the human mother, our divine Maker insists that we, his children, lean to fine-tune our understanding of his timing. We must lean to accept that the Creator gives according to his own schedule, regardless of our demands. When you learn God's timing, you learn how to live and work in harmony with yourself and others around you. Most importantly, you understand the art of communion with the silent voice of the universal will. At the close of 1991, the mortgage interest rate plunged to almost a 30-year low. A friend of mine, Sonia, grew anxious and upset because she and her husband could not raise enough money for a down payment on a house. At night she would dream about watching her children playing at a new home. Her expectations and thwarted desires made her accuse her husband of not being able to fulfill her most basic needs. Recently she told me about her worries. I told her it does not matter how high or low the interest rate moves. When the time is right, the perfect house and the method to pay for it will reveal itself harmoniously and effortlessly. You must be content with whatever your starting point or financial condition is, because that is your launch pad to begin your journey towards prosperity. Conclusion. The mystery of money is not a one- or two-dimensional formula. Even the wealthiest people have no fixed formula to guarantee their own prosperity. In so many ways, prosperity is connected with our ability to bring forth every aspect of our Maker's qualities. In addition to the qualities mentioned here, the qualities of endurance, self-confidence, perseverance, self-respect, determination, discipline, love, compassion, generosity, joy, courage, righteousness, efficiency, and even ruthlessness should also be included. The more we can bring forth these qualities, the more we will tap into the power of our Maker. Ultimately, through our inner and outer battles, we will experience our connection with the divine, the source of universal abundance. For the practitioner of thick face, black heart, this is a task that is never completed. Each day we experience 1,000 successes and 1,000 failures. Victory lies in perseverance. If we are steadfast in correcting our course, we can repeatedly recreate ourselves as the heirs to the abundance of the world. That is the mystery of money, the mystery of wealth. We do not have to beg, we need only claim that which is ours by right. Summary of key points. 1. The Chinese character for money is composed of 3 symbols. One symbol means gold. The other 2 represent spears. The character for poverty is also composed of 3 symbols. The symbols depict a man standing at the bottom of a pit, bent as if under a great burden. These characters not only represent money and poverty, they also say something profound and beautiful about those 2 states. 2. The first spear symbolized the outward struggle for survival. Anyone who wishes to accomplish their goals or claim a share of the earth's abundance must first be prepared to battle for money. 3. The second spear represents the battle within. Before one can fight and win the battle without, one must win the battle within. Poverty is more a state of mind than an external condition. 4. Money and wealth are obtained through interactions with others. 5. To have a sense of your worth, you have to do something that is worthy of your own respect first. 6. In reality, most of us are where we want to be financially. Obtaining prosperity is not about what you are willing to do to gain it, more importantly, it is about what you are willing to give up in exchange for it. 7. Money is the element of life that inspires the greatest emotions in individual human beings. It is tightly connected with the emotions of agony and ecstasy. When you have money, you never feel you have enough. If you have lost money, you wish you had appreciated it more when you did have it. 8. The path to wealth is not to chase money for its own sake, but to understand and develop your own intrinsic talents and inclinations. 9. Each of us possesses a spark of individual brilliance. Every one of us is capable of accomplishing something that cannot be accomplished by anyone else in our own unique way. Striving to discover what is our niche in this vast human market is part of our quest of life. 10. In most cases, life does not play hide and seek, rather, we are blind. Our unique abilities often display themselves in many situations in the course of our lives. Because we are so focused on making a living, we do not see anything else. 11. The world is like a pyramid of people struggling with one another. You don't have the choice of whether or not to join in the struggle, but you can choose where to fight. Don't fight your battle at the bottom of the pyramid. It is much too crowded down there. It is easier near the top. 12. You don't have to beg in your prayers for material prosperity. The abundance of the world is freely given to those who claim it as their natural birthright. 13. Adapt the divine touch in our work. What makes a good artist, dancer, lawyer, or businessman good is his ability to recreate his maker's creativity in his work. 14. Outer success will follow the actions and attitudes you manifest due to your experience of success as an inner reality. 15. Money is not part of who you are. You didn't bring it with you at birth. Nor will you take it with you at death. Enjoy money, but keep an indifferent attitude towards it. Means and ends are convertible terms in my philosophy of life. Mahatma Gandhi.